All right, I'm here today with my friend and colleague, Artrell Williams. And Artrell and I met
Last year at GamiCon.
last year at GamiCon here in Orlando. So we were here last year doing a GamiCon live in Orlando. It was the first time we were able to be live again at the Training Magazine Conference and Expo. So we did a pre-con with that. And Artrell, he's just one of those people that when you meet him, you know you want to be in his network and want to be a friend. You just know those people when you meet them. And so then Artrell's taken our certifications, and I have his game that he actually created for his level 2 certification, which is beyond what we require. So for level 2, we go usually as far as a solution prototype to get that play tested, our master craftsman then deploy. You are coming to the live certification in June for master craftsman. Are you taking this further, or are you doing another direction? What are you thinking?
I want to go a little bit bigger.
Okay, so what does that mean?
That means that I hope to be in a position to create something digitally.
Good.
Maybe it could be an extension of this, just a digital version, but I'm still kind of in love with this idea of taking people on a journey around the world. And
We talk
unless I
about
get
where
a
you work.
budget,
We talk about that.
I think so.
Okay, so tell us who you work for.
The company is called Sumitomo Rubber.
Okay,
We make rubber so that we can make tires out of it.
right.
People think making tires is just pouring rubber into a mold and you hear a ding like a microwave and the tires pop out. And it's not
No,
that simple.
no, no. All right. And I know one of the reasons you created the game was to help people in the manufacturing process understand the big picture.
Right.
Like their individual role is not just about their role. It's this, it all ties together to create these products that make customers satisfied, feel safe on the road, they feel good taking their family in the vehicle with these tires. Uh, so what is tell me about this game. How's this work? I mean, you don't have to, you can see this one. So, okay.
We've got 8 processes involved in tire manufacturing. We've broken it down to 8. And the goal is to help people understand each step, because I believe that at least individuals should understand who their customers are and where products that they are using came from. So one level up, one level down, if not the entire thing. I wanted to know the whole process. In addition to the process itself, I also wanted to help impart our mission and values and some of the other key metrics that our industry and our particular organization are evaluated on. So we've got a safety component, an attendance component, a waste component that's also involved in this. And so all of those messages are embedded in the game as a user plays.
Okay, so when you say evaluated on, is this internal or are these external regulatory? Who's evaluating?
Um, our business goals are tied to some industry goals, right?
Okay.
We got some governing bodies that hold us to certain standards. So there is
Okay.
that. But then internally, we've created this set of metrics that we're being held accountable to in our annual reviews and such.
When you started this position, they didn't really know who they had gotten, did they?
I still don't know.
But
No.
Archel, it's one of those things that when you have this I call him high post, is this high potential employee like Artrell, he's going to take ideas and not just run with them haphazardly, but say, we can apply this here. We can do better than we're doing. And like with the game you created, this is not in the big scheme of tire manufacturing costly, right? This is pennies. They throw more than this away every day,
Right.
right?
Right.
Right? There's more, like I don't know how much more, but wasted each day. Where just as a result of manufacturing, but this game that you've created, the impact that it'll have on people engaging with their work and understanding the importance of their individual roles. When we think about engagement, that's the secret.
Right.
Helping people be successful in their jobs and let them know that their work is meaningful to the organization. And this is how it all ties together. So you started this to use in onboarding, or
Right. We're
yeah.
now using it in our new hire
Okay.
organization.
Okay.
And So I can say we've been play testing it with that group.
Yeah, well,
And
that's
it's
good.
evolved,
Yeah.
right, since you saw it a month or so ago. It's evolved since then, and that's what you encourage through your certification programs is the evolution. You iterate and iterate, and so I think we're close.
It's one of the things that I have these different laws of the universe, and one of those is you'll learn more in 10 minutes of putting your card, your game in somebody's hands than you will 10 hours of just poring over it with yourself or your team, deciding this is how they're going to interact with it, this is how it'll play. Then you put it in actual learners, we call them players, we put it in their hands and we realize, oh my gosh, they're not playing any way we thought that they would play at all. And so then you iterate, and iteration is part of design. And it's just so magical what you've created. I'm just really excited about it.
It's been a journey, and
Yeah.
you know my original idea, and I had a character created and things like that, and wanted to virtually take people to all these different countries, but then we had a deadline to work with.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that I sat down with my kids and played the game Trouble. And I had a spark of imagination there when I said, you know what? I probably was thinking way too big for what I'm capable of doing right now. Let's simplify it. So I pulled back and I started to think about how we could do what the kids and I were doing sitting at the kitchen table, but do it for this particular project that you assigned to us. And so I figured a card game would be good. And then it just started to evolve from there. And I've got a couple colleagues that have been really instrumental in helping pull this thing together because I'm not a graphic designer
Yeah, but they're
at all.
beautiful. I mean, these are fantastic. Whoever you got to help you with it. I mean, when I just looked through them, I was like, this is just beautifully done. It's industry specific, so we're thinking, look at this one, this is so good. But it's designed for this user group, and I love what you said about playing Trouble, because really, if you want to do game-based learning, gamified learning well, really is about playing games and discovering how things work. So I want to talk about last night. But we all got together because the conference, we were pretty much done with the session. We were doing expo hall. So we got together last night for dinner and for games. And we played this silly game called Dandelions, where you have to roll the dice and imagine your dandelion seeds floating to be planted in the garden. So it was a real quick gameplay. But then from there, we went another direction.
Right.
Tell us about your alternate persona.
Well, a couple years ago, I saw a speaker, a trainer who employed humor in the classroom. And many of us do it, right? And we've always done it. But I decided that I wanted to take it a little bit further. And I'd gone to some open mics. Growing up, I wanted to be Eddie Murphy.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that I wanted to emulate him or anything like that. Like, I literally wanted to exchange my life for
Oh,
his.
give me the ribbons, right? Don't like you run into each other in a lightning storm and you
Right.
became Eddie.
But I didn't even know that was possible. And in Buffalo, I found an open mic, and there's a circuit. There's places all over town that people can go do comedy. And I saw some really bad ones.
Mm.
I saw some good ones too, but I saw some that were bad enough that I realized that I could try, that there was no harm in trying. And I can say that I honestly admire those that I say bad, but comedy is very, there's nuance and people like different things. And
And it's not easy. I mean,
right,
all of us who were there last night are I'm not we're speakers, we're trainers, we're accustomed to speaking in front of people. And I don't know if it was your idea, I think it was, that we just put
premises in it.
premises in a cup and just had to draw it and then do a bit
On the fly.
on the fly. It
That's how
was
you stretch that
hard.
muscle.
Yeah, really good. And then Artrell was giving feedback on it, which led to this idea that when we're in New Orleans, because again, we're at the Training Magazine 45th Annual Conference and Expo right now. We're in the speaker ready room. But they'll be doing a tech learn in New Orleans in September, and they sponsor our GamiCon event. So we'll be there doing GamiCon live for 2.5 days. We always do these super fun, adventurous after-hour events. So as we're doing this last night, we're like, we need to do this. Find some great venue in New Orleans and do a comedy workshop.
It's basically a comedy workshop. It's a humor workshop.
Okay,
And so
good, better.
as opposed to trying to give off the impression that
That
we're
we're
trying
going
to
to
teach
be
people,
comics,
right?
yes.
Because what we do is employ humor to help people learn.
Right.
And that is the focus. That's the main point. I don't want to set an expectation that we're trying to make people stand up
Stand-up
comics through this
comics,
process.
yeah.
But we just want them to feel more comfortable employing some of the principles of humor that I've learned along the way to being a more engaging and entertaining teacher of information.
Well, and like as we did our little 2-minute things, Artrell was timing us, but he gave really good feedback afterwards too about ways you could take things, and it was just this really wonderful opportunity of open exchange. Artrell was trying to work out a couple bits that were really good. One was on youth hostels, and another was stick figures, so hysterically. But again, it's not about being, although he does have aspire to do that, and so we might even work that into New Orleans, is getting him into an open mic night or something somewhere to go experience that. But this is not about being a stand-up comedian. This is about people love to laugh. And if they're laughing and relaxed, they can be learning and taking in some really maybe difficult concepts, but they're relaxed with it, so they're open to it. So we're thinking of what, let them laugh,
Let them laugh, let them learn.
let them laugh, let them learn. So we'll start with a workshop. We'll take it down to somehow evaluate people, and then we want to bring it into having an event around it. So anyhow, this is just not even 12 hours old, and we're still working out the details, but I know that it's that kind of fun. And for those who aren't comfortable doing it, you can do like I was doing last night. I was more of like one of the writers on Saturday Night Live. I wasn't going to take the stage, but I could give ideas from the writers table. So there's a role for all of us there, and so I know it's going to be really good.
We did something similar with our ATD chapter, not quite on the level that we're talking about doing in New Orleans, but I asked, why don't we have like an open mic for trainers? And so we did they call it a SIG there, a special interest group. We all got together and everybody brought a topic. They had 5 minutes, but the goal was just to present to other presenters
Right.
and get feedback.
You don't get better any faster than that, because
Right.
that is the toughest crowd in the world, is presenting in front of your peers like that. Yeah, I've done trainer throwdowns like that, and
That's what they
it's
call it.
yeah, it's you get good. Really, your level of improvement is just astronomical because you want to do well, and they want you to do well. So the feedback is good. Yeah,
And it comes from a place of people who understand what we're trying to
right,
accomplish up there.
right.
Because when you ask just the general participant, they'll say, "Oh, it was good." I need more than that.
Yeah.
Tell me what you
Which
appreciate,
part?
what you
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
appreciate.
Especially when like I've done, and I make fun and I do it with love, but like I'll do like introvert, like let's just say engineers. I know I did a session with engineers once where like I got nothing from them at all, and I'm like, funny and like, dancing. I wasn't dancing, and afterwards they were like shaking. Oh my god, that was so great! And I would be like, what? What part? What part did you think was great? Because they didn't show me, but that's just that's just how that was their nature, was to not show a lot of affect. But so we have that coaching that comes from people who understand what we're trying to accomplish is really good. I love it.
Well, you mentioned working with engineers, and that's my primary audience at this place. I found that we need to give permission to laugh if that's what we expect from them. Because if you don't tell, especially that group, because
It's
it's like you
okay.
said, there's something
Well, they're
weird
serious
going on.
people. They're doing serious work.
But if you let them know that this is going to be an engaging session and it's okay if you want to show some physical reaction, you can laugh or clap or whatever it is,
Yeah,
because they're used to just sitting and watching people present.
yeah.
They walk away and talk about the charts and graphs.
You're right, right. Yeah, yeah. That's good. Very good. So you are like I said, when they hired you, I don't think they knew what they got. But you've talked with leadership now a lot in the past year about gamifying events or learning, game-based learning. What's your approach to leadership on why it's important to bring this genre of design into what you're doing for your learning programs?
Outcomes.
Okay.
You gotta be able to speak to outcomes that are important to them. And that's not just for gamification, but in general, training, we're trying to justify what we're asking them for, the time, the resources, and we got to help them understand that we know the outcomes that they desire. And when we do that, they're at least more apt to listen to what we have to say. But I almost never use the word gamification.
Yeah. You don't talk about designing games?
No,
You just say,
they'll see it.
make a card game? You didn't say that?
No, I said I made an interactive learning activity
Good.
using cards.
Good.
And when they saw it, they thought it was great, honestly.
Yes, absolutely. No, well, you should your own more. It doesn't happen very often, right? No one else is going to do it for you, Artrell.
But it actually is well thought out.
So delightful. I mean, it's so very good. Yes, yeah.
And when my plant manager saw it, he was impressed.
Good.
And I never use the word game, but when you see it, you know that's what's happening.
Right. And good. And it's really easy also for the learner, because this helps to take a lot of fear out of anything, right? Like, oh my gosh, I have to learn all this in my new hire course, but this they'll remember. They'll retain it longer. They'll be able to retrieve it. The fear is gone because it's just cards, right? I'm playing. I'm not saying playing, but I am using cards to learn. Not something that feels familiar, and I am in my competent zone then, or confidence at least, so I can do this. It's cards. We can make that happen. Yeah.
And if I can speak about the event cards there too. So along the way, kind of like when you play Monopoly and you've got community chess and chance, things happen that you didn't desire. So in Monopoly, we know that the IRS takes 10% of your money or something like that. In here, when we talk about safety, for example, it's important not to use your mobile device or have distractions when you're on the shop floor. So there's a card in there that says you got caught doing that and you have to give 2 cards to an opponent or something like that. So waste, there's the waste cards I mentioned before, safety, attendance. Several of the members of your team didn't come to work because they wanted to watch the Buffalo Bills game. We missed production targets. Past your lose a turn or something like that. So those concepts are embedded in the game to help drive not just the process itself, but what's important to us as an organization.
Right, good, and real life, right? Well, it does seem reasonable though if you want to watch the Buffalo Bills game, doesn't it? That's not I well, I mean, Bills fans, yes. All right, Archie, I'm just delighted, and it'll be so great to get this pulled together to use in New Orleans. We'll of course keep you posted. We're doing our online GamiCon48V, starts February 26th through 28th, 48 hours straight. Artrell will be there for part of it. You can sit down and talk with him, especially if you're in the more of a manufacturing type and you're working with frontline workers, and how can you these I don't want to say guys, because it's not just guys, but these individuals who they don't have extra time where they are going to be able to spend a lot of time in a learning environment, and every minute spent there has to have a good return on that investment. And when you're doing it in that kind of setting, many managers will ask you, I want, what are the outcomes they're going to get? Because if you're going to take all of my crew and put them into a training program, what outcomes are going to be different as a result of it? So you can sit down and talk with Artrell about how he did it, and he'll share ideas with you because he's hugely generous in his knowledge and skill, and a master at feedback, masterful. Did you study that?
Giving feedback?
Yeah.
I learned in the School of Hard Knocks.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've got a tough audience too, right?
Yeah.
I didn't come up in manufacturing, but to be in manufacturing, especially in the environment in which I work, people don't want to hear that they didn't do well. Just people don't take it very well, and those types of discussions were punitive before I got there, and there's still some of that going on. But I'm trying to encourage my leadership team that we shouldn't only speak to our employees when something's wrong.
Right.
I want them to be accustomed to sitting down and getting feedback, and also giving feedback, because as leaders we need that too.
And we can learn so much because they're the ones that are actually doing it. They're there doing the work. They know what works and what doesn't work, which is really important because I say, you know, we sit in our L&D tower and we imagine how work is, and oftentimes it's not what work is like. And so it's great to hear what they've got to contribute as far as here's the reality, here's and how can we do what you're wanting us to do and make that work and be successful. So really good. Looking forward to future collaborations.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much,
Thank
Artrell.
you.
All right. We'll see you again, everyone. Remember to go to GamiCon.us and register for the 48V, and we'll see you February 26th. Thank you so much.
Should we also see them in New Orleans?
We will see you in New Orleans once you see 48V. Hey, you may not have a discount code yet.
For New Orleans?
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Okay. I'm thinking that you may not have it yet. Because when he, like 4 days ago, handed me his cards, and I'm like, oh my gosh, let's schedule an interview while we're here together. So I just roped him into it. And so it may not be actually in the system yet. But if you are watching and you want to register for GameCon, you can use my discount. It's Game Master 100. That'll give you $100 off the 48V registration. So hope to see you February 26th through 28th. We'll definitely want to see you in New Orleans and see what you can do in our after hours fun humor.
Let them laugh, let them learn.
Let them laugh, let them learn. All right. That's good, Archel. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.